Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Videomail for the week of May 14th, 2012. Welcome to the site to all you new members, and welcome back to the site to all you old members. The Ask Videomail is your chance. Don't forget to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send it to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and it's the best way to take advantage of your subscription, so please do so if you haven't already. You can even send me your Maya file and I will open it up and everyone can learn from the struggles that you're having. Please send it in if you haven't already. It's very easy, very simple. Do it today. Man, I'm getting really fast at running through that. I wonder if if I sleepwalk, if I'm ever going to do that in my sleep. Like, hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. My name is Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Videomail for the week of 2012. I'll have to ask my wife if that's what I do. Just a little, well, as you can see, still rocking the standing desk setup. It's very, very nice. Changed the lighting around a little bit. No more ghetto light over there. I moved it off camera. Hopefully you like it. I think it looks nice. So we're gonna stick with this for the time being. I wanted to just let everybody know, every once in a while I have to remind you about the things that are available to you here on KennyRoy.com. There are some downloads, some rigs that you can take advantage of. I think there's 3 or 4 in there. I'm going to be adding a few more in the coming weeks. Some rigs that I got clearance from the production company that I work for Sci-Fi Channel, and I'm going to give out some of those creatures. So just look out for those. It'll be fun. And there also are some programs that you can use to get free time on the site. If you're a new member, you might not know that anyone you refer that puts your username in on the sign-up form that they use, it has to be your exact username though, otherwise it doesn't work automatically, will give you 30 days free on the site if they sign up for a 30 or 60-day membership, and 60 days free if they sign up for a year. So there is still one user that has referred enough members that he's been on the site for over a year and he hasn't paid a dime. So it's a really easy program to use. Refer your friends and tell them to put your username in on the sign-up sheet when they sign up. That's also, you can also send in a testimonial and get 5 days free. It's all in the, what is it called? It's in the bonus. If you go to Member Tools on the left here and click on Bonus, those are the 2 programs that are up right now. I am looking into how I can set up the affiliate program on KennyRoy.com. MemberGate, which is the software that the site runs on, has an automatic affiliate membership account that I can set up in such a way that if anybody signs up a certain number of members, or if you put a link on your website and then someone follows that link and signs up, that you can also get some money incentive for doing that. So I think people, like free time on the site. They also like money. So I'm going to be looking to the affiliate. It should be pretty simple to set up. I just got to make sure that all the bells and whistles and things that need to be hooked up are hooked up. So anyway, it's exciting. I think it will give a big boost to membership, and I hope you participate when it's up. Okay. So, without further ado, let's get to the question. It's a good one. I've had a lot of experience with this, the problem that this question poses, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. So let's take a look. All right, great question. Thank you for sending this one in. So, there used to be a entire kind of an entire job actually built around effects animation. Sometimes what that would entail is things like, animating like cloth flapping or stuff like that. When it has to do with a character like the magic carpet from Aladdin, for instance, obviously that was 2D, but what they did was kind of like in my animating non-human characters lecture, which is in the store, they took on these poses that had like a breath of that human, that anthropomorphized, character that just like set off the images in our mind and really gave us an idea of that human pose that it was taken, and it can change. In that lecture, I talk about how the tassels could be like ears, like, oh, I heard something, and then if the magic carpet is sad at one point and he kind of walks like this, and it kind of looks like his arms, his hands are kind of like swinging by his side because he's walking really sad and whatever. So it can change. So with those kinds of things, I would say that normally you have enough control where you can concern yourself mostly with building in the kind of poses that anthropomorphize the character and give us those impressions and that spark those images of the character in a human pose. With things like membranes, it gets so tedious. It gets so hard to work with. I'll tell you a quick anecdote first. One of the animators that I worked with at Weta had worked on R&H had worked on the Matrix 2 and 3, and he said that basically animating the Sentinels was basically bookkeeping more than it was animating, because you had this round thing and you animated it, and it was pretty simple to get it and have it look and go and whatever, but then you had 13 arms, so when it came to pose, you'd have to get all those arms into a pose, and then when it left, you'd have to have them get back into dragging behind. And the supervisors and the directors were very, very particular about nothing ever looking remotely like it was penetrating or crossing. So you couldn't even hide stuff with speed or anything like that. And that's kind of how it just is. So I hate to say that I hate any time in an Ask Videomail when it's like, well, there is no answer. It's not that there's no answer, but I have encountered a character with a cape. I've actually animated Batman and Superman for a small project that went to E3. I've animated maybe half a dozen characters with wings and wing membranes that were not dynamic. There was a character on a short film I worked on that had a really long trench coat, and all starting right here, it was just bones just down into the trench coat, and so everything was completely animated by hand. So the point is that what you want to do is kind of make it so that if you can, that the membranes or the really thin parts are as much part of the pose as they can be, and you don't want to leave it always completely till last. Meaning, if the character jumps up and whatever, and you still have that really stiff coat sticking down, number one, it's going to distract your supervisor or director when they're looking at it. It's just way too hard to look at it. Number two, it doesn't look good in pose. And number three, what you're going to do is, after that, you're going to try to kind of play catch up, animating straight ahead all of this dynamic cloth or thin membrane, and it's never going to really work out well. Our eye, and normally the viewer's eye, is a lot more forgiving when it comes to looking at a piece of membrane that is animated into and out of really iconic silhouettes and poses, and will forgive a little bit of the physics. Okay, so that again, if you have Superman like about to land and whatever, and you build this nice pose with this nice C shape in the spine and whatever, it's a good idea to build the cape into that, because again, if you can go into and out of that pose, it's almost as if we are so desperate to see that super strong iconic pose in the body that when that cape or whatever membrane or whatever it is actually becomes part of that, it's cathartic. It's almost a relief that it's part of that. So that would be my suggestion. And don't let it become like bookkeeping. Don't let it become like, all right, I have to animate all 36 of these controls in the cape. That's what it was with Batman and Superman. I don't know why, but they had just all of these controls and clusters and joints and whatever in the cape, and it was just super cumbersome. All right, so keep it simple, build it in the blocking phase, I would say, as part of the pose, and then if you have to, probably like jump back and forth on 8s, then 4s, then 2s to try to make it just a little bit realistic and working dynamically, because that is so frustrating. One thing that I thought I'd just show you really quickly how to do is how to set up a really quick end cloth membrane, because it's very simple. So let's just jump in and I'll show you what to do here. Okay, so here we have a simple setup. I didn't finish modeling it because I wanted to show you a couple of the tricks as well. So I just basically took a plane and I dragged the vertices into this little arm setup. It's not even a rig right now. All I have is basically these boxes set up in just a simple parent-child relationship. Okay, but that doesn't matter. We're just going to run through this quickly anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want this membrane to look like it's stretched between these bones. So one trick is the average vertices command, which is found in the polygon panel or the polygon menu set. And what it does is it basically it's kind of like if you were familiar with 3D Studio Max, it kind of relaxes the vertices. Or if you're familiar with more of the modeling paradigm, it's almost like in the sculpt tool, smoothing. Not smoothing with subdivision like it is in the mesh, but smoothing as in actually spreading out vertices. So here it is. If you just click on it, you see it did that. The G key by default repeats last command. So if you hit G a few times, there you can see it looks, oops, it's like that one too. There you can see it looks now like this is a membrane, and the body would be over here. Actually, let me just really quickly create like this is the body of the character, okay? So, looks great, right? Over here, I did the same thing. I just created a patch again, or a plane, and I just deleted some of the faces and moved the verts in line. It's no big deal. Really super simple, really fast. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to select these over here. Oops. Select these, and go mesh average, G, and there you have it. Okay. With end cloth, it doesn't really matter where your pivot point is at all, because it is a dynamic simulation that works on the sub object or the component level. So pivot doesn't matter. So I'm going to go over here. I just move the pivot to the middle of this bone, and I'm going to duplicate special and actually do a scale in -1 of Z, so that it creates a copy that's flipped across right here, as you can see. Okay, then I'm just going to grab these verts and just move them in line. Okay, so we're not going too crazy here. It would not be too hard for you, Paul. I know the ANC rig for Animation Mentor has lots of finite control on the wings. If I was pressed for time, I might actually hide those membranes and just take my animation and create end cloth membranes on top of those bones or on top of those fingers that you have in your shot, just because it's so much faster. Anyway, I'm going to select all 3 of these pieces of geometry. Alt-Shift-D deletes history. I'm also going to freeze transforms, and what that does is basically this one that was flipped across Z no longer has negative scale on it. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Okay, so here we go. Now we have our membrane geometry, and it's pretty simple from here on in. All you have to do is select all of these, go to End Dynamics, and then go to End Mesh, create End Cloth. If you hit play, they should just fall. Okay, that's fine. That's what we want. Okay, let's give ourselves like 240 frames so we can actually see what's going on. And then, this is the fun part. Then we're going to do end constraints. Okay. Now, point to surface is probably the one we want to use. I can also show you transform, but transform is basically, it makes a locator that you can parent or constrain to another object, and it's more useful for when you have a single piece driving the motion of something. But point to surface is a lot better for when you have multiple objects driving the motion of an end cloth, like we have here. We have the body, we have this piece of the arm, this piece, and the fingers. Okay, so point to surface is going to work a little bit better for us. Transform, like a good example of transform would be if you have a character with like a handkerchief that's sticking out of their pocket. You would probably want to do a transform, and the end cloth would just like flap around. So let's, if you choose vertice or vertex, sorry, on, I'm going to turn off soft selection, okay. And then you choose, actually let's choose, that's okay, we'll just choose this edge right here. And then you shift select the surface that you want to create the constraint, the end constraint between. You go point to surface, and then you'll see it creates this, these dotted lines, and that's the link. So I'm just going to go around now, and I'm just going to select all the verts that I want to be affected by these joints or whatever, and we're going to, actually, no, I'll show you the other way now too. So here I just made a transform constraint, and now if I grab this transform constraint, where is it? Okay, here it is. It's actually dynamic constraint 3. And I just choose this and then parent constrain this. You will actually get the exact same result. I'll show you. I'll do another one over here as well. So vert, grab these, grab. Oops, no, not grab that. Do a transform. Grab this and the bone, constrain parent. Okay, now if we hit play, you'll see that the this doesn't fall anymore. Let me do the other two really quickly. Vert this and the box, point to surface. Grab this side, all these, and this box, point to surface. One more, actually no, sorry, two more. All these guys, point to surface, and then all these guys. There we go, point to surface. Okay, so now what we should have is when we hit play, all of our membranes are basically stuck in place, and they are. We turn on every frame. You should always play every frame when you're working with dynamics. Okay, now you can turn these on and off. Let's really quickly just set some keys here. Hold on a second, let me just grab all my bones here, set a key, okay. Bend it down, sort of splay these two out, local, set, go over here, and then back to 1. Okay, so now if we hit play, you'll see that the membrane is stretching, and it's actually behaving, it's nice, it's actually behaving kind of dynamically right there, okay? We can see this effect a little bit more pronounced if we change the animation just a little bit. So instead of splaying out, let's see these guys crunch in a little bit. And you'll see that when that happens, that the membrane actually kind of gets, you know, stuck in here, okay? You see that? See that nice little cloth action that happens right there, okay? So, what can we do? If you want a little bit of extra oomph on here, what you do is you don't select the mesh, select the end cloths like that. And then if you go into end dynamics and you go to fields and you go to air, okay, the direction in X basically will billow these out. So let's make sure, so this right now is 1 in Y, so let's make it all direction in X, okay? And let's turn it up until we can start seeing it. So magnitude of 4 is doing nothing. Let's do 20. See what happens. Okay, that's not doing anything. Oh, actually, it's positive X right now. We want it to be negative X. So let's do 30. See what happens. Okay. Let's try 100. See what happens. Let's just make sure that this is affecting these. So if you select your end cloths and your field and you go affect selected objects, okay, so it's already connected. Okay, let's turn way up and just make sure that it's not a scene scale thing that's happening. There we go. You see that? See right when, I'll actually play frame by frame, okay? Right when the animation starts, see how they really billowed out? Okay, so that's something that this is something you could use. See, that's a really nice, actually, kind of like billowed shape. I turn smoothing on these as well to get an even nicer shape. So if you're making your character like flap his wings, then you want to probably use this, use a field to make it so that it looks like there's actually wind in the sails, so to speak. Okay, so. Anyway, so where do you go from here? I mean, you can pretty much use either the point to surface constraint or the transform constraint like I showed you up here and just parent it to the bones and build any kind of membrane that your heart desires. And in the end, you don't have any control over this, but it's 100% super dynamic and works perfectly every time. So the trade-off is that you can't get those super iconic poses, but at the same time you'll save so much time on this. You'll save so much time on this in the long run if if your client or your director or your supervisor is looking for such realistic cloth or whatever. So just wanted to show you how to do that, and maybe in the meantime what you want to do is just attach these to your rig if you don't have time to animate the membranes. I don't know. So thank you for that great question, and please send in more. The address to send your questions to is webmaster@kennyroy.com. I promise I read all the questions and answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Send it in today. I feel so high energy standing now. These video mails are like so different because I feel like I'm bam, 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 pew, pew, pew. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you are too. Please continue to follow me on Facebook and Twitter and look for updates on the site on those sites as well. I appreciate all your support. Thank you. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.